And away we go, episode 1210 of the Al Galdi podcast. It is Wednesday, December 3rd, 2025. It is the day on which the 3-9 Washington Commanders are beginning practicing for their game at the 4-8 Minnesota Vikings this Sunday afternoon at 1 in Week 14 of the NFL's 2025 regular season. The Commanders, of course, have lost 7 consecutive games, so the latest being the 27-26 overtime loss to the Denver Broncos at Northwest Stadium on Sunday Night Football this past Sunday night. Incredibly, though, our Commanders have not been eliminated from playoff contention. They have been eliminated from wild card contention, but they have not been eliminated from NFC East contention, though that could change in this Week 14. The Commanders will be eliminated from NFC East contention if either of the following scenarios happens. A, the Commanders lose or tie at the Vikings. B, the NFC East leading and 8-4 Philadelphia Eagles win or tie in their game at the 8-4 Los Angeles Chargers on Monday Night Football this Monday night at 8:15. Amazing that the Commanders at 3-9 still technically could win the NFC East. As Jim Carrey said in the movie Dumb and Dumber, so you're telling me there's a chance?
So you're telling me there's a chance? Yeah!
Yes, there is a chance that the Commanders win the NFC East. Hello and welcome to this Wednesday installment of the Al Galdi podcast. Commanders offensive coordinator Kliff Kingsbury is not getting enough credit for the job that he's doing this season. I'll explain that next segment. And then the following segment, a conversation with Vikings insider Matthew Coller of Purple Insider on Substack, the host of a very successful Vikings podcast, Purple Insider with Matthew Coller. We, with Matthew, are going to discuss a variety of Commanders-related Vikings items as we prepare for Commanders at the Vikings this Sunday afternoon. Matthew will address whether Vikings head coach and former Redskins offensive coordinator Kevin O'Connell is in trouble, and if so, whether he could be a potential replacement for Kliff Kingsbury as Commanders offensive coordinator if Kingsbury leaves for a head coaching job. Matthew will provide a deep dive on the disaster that has been J.J. McCarthy's tenure as Vikings quarterback. Remember the talk of the Commanders potentially taking McCarthy with their number 2 overall pick in the 2024 NFL Draft. Matthew will tell us how 2 notable former Washington players are doing with the Vikings, quarterback Carson Wentz and interior defensive lineman Jonathan Allen. All of that and more with Matthew Coller next segment. By the way, the Commanders on Tuesday afternoon announced having signed receiver Robbie Chosen to the practice squad and having released long snapper Zach Trinner from the practice squad. The Commanders this past Friday morning announced having released Chosen from the active roster, and the team this past Saturday afternoon announced having signed Trinner as an unrestricted free agent to the practice squad and having elevated him for the game against the Broncos. The Commanders' number 1 long snapper Tyler Ott was inactive for the game due to illness and a back ailment, and we now know the start time for the Commanders game against the Eagles at Northwest Stadium on Saturday, December 20th, 5 p.m. That came out late Tuesday afternoon. And also on the show, I'll talk Washington Capitals, Washington Wizards, Maryland basketball, and Virginia Tech basketball. The Caps, they late night on Tuesday night won their 5th consecutive game, and for the 8th time in 9 games, a 3-1 win at the Los Angeles Kings. The Wizards, they on Tuesday night got routed at the Philadelphia 76ers, 121-102. The Terrapins, they on Tuesday night blew out Wagner, 89-63 at Xfinity Center in College Park, Maryland. And the Hokies, they on Tuesday night won at South Carolina, 86-83 in overtime in the ACC SEC Challenge. Before we get to some feedback, the 5th installment of the college football playoff rankings for the 2025 season came out on Tuesday night. Virginia up 1 spot to number 17. James Madison, number 25. First time ever that JMU is ranked in the CFP rankings. This as its head coach, Bob Chesney, reportedly is leaving to be UCLA's head coach. That news broke via multiple reports on Monday afternoon. You can hit me up on X at Al Galdi. You can email me, the Al Galdi podcast at yahoo.com. Some pushback on Operation Loseout 2.0, Operation Loseout, a.k.a. OLO. from Walter Miles on X writes, Walter, hey Al, I don't think DQ or any of the Commanders would agree with your Operation Lose Out. These guys want and need to win. Besides, there's no guarantee we'll even hit on that pick. Thank you for that, Walter. From JVA on X writes Jay, Operation Lose Out. Come on, Goldie. We're playing Dallas, New York, and the Eagles twice this month. How about Operation Show Some Pride? Operation Cook the Birds. Let's go. Thank you for that, Jay. So, a few things. First of all, I don't want head coach Dan Quinn or any of his assistants or any Commanders players purposely trying to lose. I want the team to play hard and play well. One of the tenets of Operation Lose Out is rooting for Commanders players, especially young players, to play well. You don't have to take Operation Lose Out so literally. Operation Lose Out doesn't mean that I'm watching each Commanders game now, getting happy when bad things happen to the team and getting mad when good things happen to the team. No, Operation Lose Out means that I am seeing the good that can come from this terrible season for our team. And I am embracing that good. And I am allowing what normally would be a major negative, the Commanders losing, to be a major positive. Once the Commanders getting to at least 10 wins in this regular season became impossible, effectively ending their realistic playoff hopes, I pivoted to thinking beyond this season. And now, by the way, things are even worse, right? The team at 3-9 is guaranteed to have a losing record. I'm not mad at anyone still rooting for the Commanders to win, but to me, wins at this point provide empty sugar highs, whereas losses, while not fun, build towards something that could be great for our team, a top 10, if not top 5 pick in the 2026 NFL Draft. I don't think that there's enough appreciation for what we could have here. It's not often that a team that is set at quarterback lands a top 5 pick in an NFL Draft. But the Commanders could be such a team. They right now have the number 6 overall pick in the 2026 NFL Draft. The amount of good that could be done with such a pick is massive, especially when you consider the possibility of trading down with a quarterback-needy team for a boatload of picks. This is a lost season for the Commanders. I hate that that's the case, but that is the case. And so instead of pretending that isn't the case, let's reframe what is the case to where the lost season actually does some good. Email from Kim on the Commanders' overtime loss to the Broncos. Subject, Olo, Denver. Writes Kim, hi Al. Boy, what a game. A couple of observations. Having Terry back is so great. He is a baller. After he got that one touchdown called back, I was glad he got another touchdown. Great job, Treylon Burks. Wow, hope he can stay healthy and earn a permanent spot. I have been extremely jealous of Dallas in that George Pickens trade, so maybe, just maybe, we might have something. Will Harris, great to have him back. I will wait for you to have Mark Bullock on to grade Harris, but I liked what I saw. Kliff Kingsbury, hats off to him. He had more weapons and he was clever with his play calls. Would love to see everyone on the field at the same time, then see what he can do. So like you said, competitive game, but we lost. I think Olo is now 2-0, right? Well, that's a win. Thank you, Al, for all you do. Your show continues to dig deep, and I love learning about the game. Well, thank you very much for that, Kim. You see, Kim is seeing the good from the overtime loss to the Broncos. A lot of things to like from the Commanders in that game. They played well, and they lost. Olo, embrace Olo. But regarding Terry McLaurin, it was really good to see him back. He had missed 7 of the Commanders' previous 8 games due to a twice-injured quadriceps, but he was really impactful on Sunday night. 7 receptions for 96 yards and a touchdown on 14 targets, and playing on 51% of the Commanders' offensive snaps. He got called for that bogus 5-yard false start penalty. He, for the game, had an overall grade per Pro Football Focus of 78.5. The Commanders have so missed McLaurin. He's their number 1 receiver. The team is lacking in depth at receiver. Him being out for so much of this regular season has really hurt the team. So good to have him back. Hopefully the team's number 3 receiver, Noah Brown, is back soon. He now has missed 10 consecutive games off being listed as dealing with groin and knee injuries. And of course, hopefully the QB1, Jayden Daniels, is back soon. He now has missed 3 consecutive games due to his dislocated left elbow. During Commanders head coach Dan Quinn's day after the game press conference on Monday afternoon, had this exchange between Commanders insider Howard Fenrich of the Associated Press and Quinn.
It seemed like Terry was kind of, in theory, on limited play time or snap count, but that kind of went out the window a little bit as the game went on. Just wondering if you have a sense of whether there will be more progress this coming week. Could he be sort of more like full go, or you're not sure yet?
I'm not sure yet, Howard, but I was encouraged by it. I thought the way that it went during the week last week, he pushed it really hard Wednesday, Thursday. We backed off Friday, and it allowed him to go. And you're right, the first half was somewhat limited. And then as the game progressed, there weren't lots of possessions back and forth. Both teams were able to, do some drives. So to see him in those most critical moments, Howard, I think that was the big push to say, can we find those spaces, where he's got to be able to be available. And so he was absolutely ready for that challenge. So I thought that was a good sign. There was no setbacks from yesterday, so that's also a good sign. And, that's the goal that you want to get. Can we take the next? Can we take the next? And we're also encouraged, hopefully, there'll be some more guys, on that way back as well. As we get into practice, it's Noah and, that part at receiver as well. So we're making progress, man.
All right. Hey, don't waste time this holiday season worrying whether your financial transactions are safe. You this holiday season can stay one step ahead of scams and keep your money secure with Cash App. Cash App's 24/7 fraud monitoring helps detect and alert you for unusual card activity should someone gain access to your card, so you can act fast if something seems off. You also can lock or unlock your Cash App card instantly right in the app for extra control and peace of mind. And if you're about to send money to someone for a deal that's too good to be true, and Cash App flags the deal as a potential scam, Cash App will warn you before you send the money. Cash App is here for you, and for a limited time only, new Cash App customers can use Cash App's exclusive code to earn some additional cash for real. Just download Cash App. Use the exclusive referral code SECURE10 in your profile. Send $5 to a friend within 14 days, and you'll get $10 dropped right into your account. Terms apply. That's money. That's Cash App. Cash App is a financial services platform, not a bank. Banking services provided by Cash App's bank partner or partners. Prepaid debit cards issued by Sutton Bank, member FDIC. Promotions provided by Cash App, a Block Inc. brand. Visit cash.app/legal/podcast for full disclosures. Something that I have not at all understood is the criticism of Washington Commanders offensive coordinator Kliff Kingsbury this season. The criticism has not been universal. I don't want to overstate the criticism, but the criticism has been notable. I have seen and heard people criticize Kingsbury a good bit, especially that he doesn't run the ball enough, which is like the perpetual criticism from every NFL fan base for every NFL offensive coordinator. And I don't know if the criticism of Kingsbury is out of genuine belief that he's not doing a good job, or if the criticism is more just due to general frustration with the team season, but I have not agreed with the criticism at all. First of all, his unit, the offense, of course, has been ravaged by injury. The QB1, Jayden Daniels, has played in just 6 of the team's 12 games in this regular season. The WR1, Terry McLaurin, has played in just 5 of the team's 12 games. The WR3, Noah Brown, has played in just 2 of the team's 12 games. A key running back, Austin Eckler, has played in just 2 of the team's 12 games. The RG1, Samuel Cosmi, has played in just 6 of the team's 12 games. Just Daniels and McLaurin having injury-plagued seasons is enough to have to grade on a curve with Kingsbury. But here's the thing. You don't have to grade on a curve, and this is the point that I want to make. The Commanders, remarkably, have one of the better offenses in the NFL's 2025 regular season. Yes, despite the injuries, the Commanders rate as one of the better offensive teams in this regular season. And neither Kingsbury nor the team is getting enough credit for this. The Commanders for this regular season through Week 13 are number 20 in the NFL in total offense in terms of DVOA. Now, 20 is not good, and that is factoring in the offense having played in a lot of garbage time. But number 11 in the NFL in total offense in terms of expected points added per play per RBSDM.com, 0.055. Number 12 in the NFL in yards per play, 5.56. Number 13 in the NFL in third down efficiency, 39.72%. Number 10 in the NFL in fourth down efficiency, 61.9%, 13 for 21. Number 2 in the NFL in red zone touchdown scoring percentage, 69.7, 23 for 33. How about all of that? The Commanders, despite all of their injury problems on offense, rank in the top 13 of the NFL in each of a number of key offensive categories. That is a credit to a lot of people, including the QB2, Marcus Mariota, but that's also a credit to Kliff Kingsbury, and I don't get why he's not getting more praise for the work that he's doing. You could argue that the work that he's doing this season is more impressive than the work that he did last season, given the circumstances. Specific to this most recent game, the 27-26 overtime loss to the Denver Broncos at Northwest Stadium on Sunday Night Football. Here you had the Commanders, again, with Mariota as the starting quarterback, facing a team with an elite defense. So the Broncos, for this regular season through Week 12, were number 5 in the NFL in total defense in terms of DVOA, and were number 4 in the NFL in total defense in terms of expected points added per play per RBSDM.com. Also, the Broncos for this game got back 2 key defensive players, cornerback Patrick Surtain from a pectoral injury and linebacker Alex Singleton from an absence caused by testicular cancer. And yet, the Commanders' offense did well, including going 8 for 17 on third downs and 3 for 3 on fourth downs. I'm not telling you that Kliff Kingsbury is perfect. No offensive coordinator is, but he's doing a heck of a job. And when it comes to the potential for him this coming offseason to leave our team for a head coaching job, the work that he's doing this season should only increase that likelihood. All right, here is an outstanding book for you if you're a Washington fan, or for a Washington fan who you care about this holiday season. RFK All Access by Scott Cunningham, who served as a photographer for NFL properties for years and who photographed the Redskins extensively during their glory days in the 1980s and early 1990s. Scott, via RFK All Access, has put together a compilation of his best Redskins photos, many of which are behind-the-scenes photos. Joe Gibbs, Jack Kent Cook, Richie Pettibone, the Hogs, the Posse, Sonny Sam and Frank, all and so many more are featured in this book, which is 392 pages of glorious Skins history, 5 pounds of Redskins gold. If you are a serious Washington fan, if you are a Skins historian, this book is a must-have. Makes for a terrific addition to any Skins-themed man cave. Also makes for a great gift. I have the book. It is sensational. Heck, this is a book that has been endorsed by Joe Gibbs himself. Quote, "This is a great book filled with great memories," end quote. And the book now is available for an all-time low price. Take advantage of this special holiday season sale. RFK All Access. You can get the book by visiting rfkallaccess.com. And when you order the book, mention in the notes section that Al Galdi sent you. Doing that helps out this podcast a lot. That's rfkallaccess.com. rfkallaccess.com. And mention that Al Galdi sent you. If you are listening to this podcast via Apple Podcasts or Spotify, you can rate the podcast with a star rating. 5-star ratings are greatly appreciated. They help us out a lot. Thank you for doing them. You can make a very strong case that the Washington Commanders game at the Minnesota Vikings this Sunday afternoon at 1 is a battle of the 2 most disappointing teams in the NFL's 2025 regular season. The Commanders are 3-9 with a point differential of -61. The Vikings are 4-8 with a point differential of -57. This off each team in the 2024 regular season being great. Commanders 12-5, point differential of +94. Vikings 14-3, point differential of +100. We have discussed the many reasons for the Commanders' disappointing 2025 regular season, but when it comes to the Vikings, their disappointing 2025 regular season may simply be about one thing: quarterback. Their QB1, J.J. McCarthy, has started just 6 of the team's 12 games due to various injuries. His total QBR per ESPN is just 24.1. The Vikings are coming off a 26-0 loss at the Seattle Seahawks this past Sunday in a game in which the Vikings starting quarterback was undrafted rookie Max Brosmer. He, in his first NFL regular season start, had a total QBR per ESPN of just 5.6. I am very pleased to welcome back to the Al Galdi podcast Vikings insider Matthew Coller of Purple Insider on Substack. He has more than 6,000 subscribers. He is the host of an outstanding Vikings podcast, Purple Insider with Matthew Coller. He has 14,500 subscribers on YouTube, and he is the author of a book about Pro Football Focus. So the title of the book, Football is a Numbers Game, Pro Football Focus, and How a Data-Driven Approach Shook Up the Sport. You can follow Matthew on X at Matthew Coller, and Coller is spelled Coller. Hey, Matthew, how are you?
I am doing okay, much better than the Minnesota Vikings, I would say. I mean, yeah, you talk about the disappointment of these two teams, and they got to be maybe ranked number 1 and 2 in the entire NFL for teams that were expected to compete for divisions, expected to be in the playoffs, to take steps even forward from successful seasons last year in the postseason. And here we are talking about no one should want to watch this football game between the Washington Commanders and the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, that it just is just shocking. I never would have seen it coming through all of the time that Kevin O'Connell has been here. It's always been like, hey, there's something better around the corner, right? Like they have a rough year in 2023 and they're expected to win 7 games or something. They win 14. And so we just assumed that everything that they did would ultimately work, and it is nowhere close to working. So it's been a very startling experience, I would say.
So with Kevin O'Connell, he was an offensive assistant for the Redskins for the 2017 through 2019 seasons, 2017 quarterbacks coach, 2018 quarterbacks coach, and passing game coordinator, 2019 offensive coordinator. He has been the Vikings head coach since February 2022. He, as Vikings head coach, has a regular season record of 38-25 and a postseason record of 0-2. This is his second bad season in 3 seasons, a 7-10 in the 2023 regular season, 4-8 in this regular season. He's not in danger of being fired, or is he?
I mean, results are the results. If you go 4-13, which I think is on the table at this point, because they've got Washington, then they play Dallas, they go to the Giants, maybe that's a winnable game, and then Detroit and Green Bay at the end of the year. I mean, that's not an easy schedule the rest of the way. And if they were to lose all of those games, I don't think it's insane to start talking about that possibility, because they were expected to get to the playoffs, to win in the postseason. I don't think anyone here had them as a Super Bowl contender, because when you're starting a new quarterback, that's a hard thing to ask for. But at the same time, you're now talking about 4 seasons, no playoffs. The 2 times that they've gotten into the playoffs, they've gotten embarrassed both times by a mediocre Giants team at home, and then completely run out of the building and totally outcoached by the Los Angeles Rams. So this was kind of a year, and I know he just signed his contract extension and he was coach of the year. So I don't think that that's going to happen. I don't think they're going to end up 4-13. But we've seen this before in the NFL, guys who won coach of the year. Jack Del Rio comes to mind for me as somebody with the Raiders who won, I think, 12 games. And then the next year he was out. It does happen. This is as low as this franchise has been in a very, very long time. And the last time it was, the coach got fired, which was Les Frazier, because in 2012 they made the playoffs. And then in 2013 they won 5 games and they fired Les Frazier. And I mean, I just don't know how you can excuse this, especially when the guy who was at the center of the decision to go to JJ McCarthy and move on from Sam Darnold is Kevin O'Connell. And I know that organizations don't make decisions based on one guy, but when you are the quarterback whisperer, you build up the credibility of, helping Sam Darnold take the next step in his career. I mean, it was on him to decide, because they could have franchise tagged Sam Darnold. And I think that if Kevin O'Connell said, we have to do that because McCarthy isn't ready, they would have done it. They didn't. And so it is on everyone. But if they finish 4-13 and McCarthy shows no signs of progress going forward, I don't know. It's going to feel as lost as any franchise in the NFL right now. They're. I said this yesterday on my show. They're the Browns right now. They are the Cleveland Browns, the New York Jets, a team that is just completely lost.
Well, the Commanders this coming offseason could lose their offensive coordinator, Kliff Kingsbury, to a head coaching job. I would love for them to hire Kevin O'Connell as offensive coordinator if he got fired by the Vikings, but I feel like he's well regarded enough to where he would get another head coaching job quickly.
Yeah, I think he would get another head coaching job pretty quickly. And also the contract that they signed him to, I don't know that the ownership wants to pay 4 more years of like $15 million or whatever he got per year to not coach here. I think that would be not along the lines of their thinking. So he'll get 2026, but if they go 4-13, I can't guarantee anything. I mean, it's been, man, offense, this is Kingsbury too. Offenses change so quickly from year to year where it's like Kingsbury's a genius. Well, now he's an idiot. And sometimes it's quarterback just can't handle it, but also sometimes people figure you out. And I feel like the Vikings have become so insanely predictable. I mean, look at that play. I don't know if you saw it, the pick 6 that Max Brosmer threw. This team is the worst team since 2000 on 3rd and short. And one of the reasons is they run the same play every time. Like, it's that play. And the Seattle were just, they went upfield. They knew it was coming. They went right to it. It was like, O'Connell, my God. And that's happened so many times this year where it seems like they know exactly what you're doing. And you know who knew exactly what they were doing in the playoffs? Sean McVay and the Rams. It was like they had the game plan before they even showed up. That's happened way too many times. I don't think it's tricking people anymore with what they're doing.
The Vikings' quarterback decisions of the 2025 offseason, allowing Sam Darnold to leave via unrestricted free agency off his very good 2024 season, allowing Daniel Jones to leave via unrestricted free agency, and going with J.J. McCarthy as the QB1 off having traded up to take him with the number 10 overall pick in the 2024 NFL Draft out of the University of Michigan. Where were you on those decisions this past offseason? Where are you now on those decisions?
Well, I had a very unpopular position, and I'm not trying to say I told you so because clearly none of us know about quarterbacks. And I thought also that J.J. McCarthy was very, very impressive in 2024 training camp and that he looked like he was on a good trajectory. But my thing was when you have a quarterback who's never played before and you have a guy that you can franchise tag who just won 14 games. And if you look up the list of quarterbacks who have thrown for 4,300 yards, 35 touchdowns, and won 11 or more games in a season, it's all Pro Bowlers and Hall of Famers and Sam Darnold last year. And so I think the odds were really in his favor that he had just become a really good quarterback. Rather, in the same way as we've seen it, Steve Young was horrible to start his career. I know I'm going back with that reference, but there's a lot of quarterbacks who did not take a big step in their career. Rich Gannon is the one that you could bring up around here because he was a Viking and struggled early in his career and then won the MVP in his 30s. And so it happens a lot, right? The quarterbacks take that big step. And I thought, why don't you find out and not judge someone based on 2 games at the end of a season and rather the bigger picture, which was that he was a top 10 quarterback last season. And if you franchise tag him and then you love what you see from McCarthy behind the scenes and Darnold doesn't play that well, okay, well, then you can always pull that lever and go to J.J. McCarthy. They did not feel that way because they were very confident in McCarthy to the point where they decided not to keep Darnold. They decided not to get Aaron Rodgers, which I think would have been a mistake, and I was not for that. But still, it would have been better than this, I think, because they have about the worst quarterback play in the entire league right now. But I thought, you've got that option on the table. They were really committed to we're going to spend on this roster. And if we get even halfway decent play from McCarthy, then we'll be in the playoffs. And they have gotten nowhere close to halfway decent play from McCarthy. And it just shows you that, when people talk about quarterback wins, it's like, well, this is why, because the rest of the team, I think, has played pretty well. And the one position has completely tanked everything, which, yes, you are very familiar with in the past.
you said that Kevin O'Connell this past offseason was very much pro going with J.J. McCarthy as QB1. The Vikings general manager, Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, he has been their GM since January 2022. Big analytics guy. Where has he stood in all of this?
Yeah, so I think that they were all in lockstep in the bigger picture plan when they got here in 2022, which was to compete with Kirk Cousins for a couple years and then move on from Kirk, draft a quarterback. They had identified the 2024 class as being a very impressive one. So draft a quarterback that year and then have Sam Darnold as a bridge and then turn it over to J.J. McCarthy. So they were going with the plan that they always expected. And that was what was a little odd to me with some of the national reporting about the decision was, yeah, this is what they had always expected to do, which was turn it over to McCarthy. But the wrench in the entire plan was McCarthy getting hurt and missing all of last season. Had he been here last season and been practicing behind the scenes, he wouldn't have gotten in because Darnold was playing so well. But they probably would have had much better sense for where he was mechanically and how well he was picking up things. These guys see him in practice every single day, and they would have a much better sense if he was practicing with the scout team every day for whether he could fix some of the mechanical issues that plagued him in college and then have plagued him throughout this year. But after they lose to the Rams, they had a tight window to make this decision of he was just getting back to throwing in January. And then they had, I think, before deciding on Rodgers, maybe one OTA practice and no OTA practice, just an offseason workout before deciding on Sam Darnold, I think. That's not much to work with, right? So they had to make, I don't even know if they had an offseason workout. So they had to decide based on what they had seen in 2024 camp, what to do with Darnold. And they loved what they saw from him. He had made huge progress in that camp. And they decided to roll the dice, and they were dead wrong, and we're seeing the consequences now.
Much more with Matthew Coller in moments. The NACE Law Group, Accident and Injury Lawyers. It has been a Washington, D.C. institution for decades. If you feel that you've been wronged, if you think that you've been wronged but aren't sure, contact the NACE Law Group, Accident and Injury Lawyers, and schedule a no-obligation appointment. Call 202-902-7611 or visit WashingtonDCInjuryLawyers.com and tell the NACE Law Group that Al Galdi sent you. Founded in 1979, the NACE Law Group offers fierce advocacy on behalf of medical malpractice, birth injury, and personal injury victims. Led by the great Chris Nace, the NACE Law Group is focused on providing exceptional care and counsel for those who need such things the most. The NACE Law Group fights for what it believes in, you, your family, and your future. You with the NACE Law Group have an experienced advocate on your side. The NACE Law Group has secured millions of dollars in verdict and settlement amounts for clients to better enable them to care for themselves and their families. Call 202-902-7611 or visit WashingtonDCInjuryLawyers.com and tell the NACE Law Group that Al Galdi sent you. That's 202-902-7611 or WashingtonDCInjuryLawyers.com, and make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you. The NACE Law Group, Accident and Injury Lawyers. We're talking with Vikings insider Matthew Coller of Purple Insider on Substack, the host of a terrific Vikings podcast, Purple Insider with Matthew Coller. We have the Commanders at the Vikings this Sunday afternoon at 1. So what happened in the 2024 NFL Draft was unprecedented. 6 of the first 12 picks in that draft being quarterbacks. The NFL's common draft era began in 1967. Prior to 2024, there had never been an NFL draft in which 4 of the first 8 picks were quarterbacks, or 5 of the first 10 picks were quarterbacks, or 6 of the first 12 picks were quarterbacks. But all of that happened in the 2024 NFL Draft. The Commanders, as a quarterback-needy team with the number 2 overall pick in that draft, had a big-time decision to make. They, of course, took Jayden Daniels with that number 2 overall pick. He had an all-time great rookie season. He's having an injury-plagued second season, but most Commanders fans, myself included, still feel really good about him. But the Commanders taking Daniels at 2 was far from what everyone wanted. I wanted the Commanders to take Drake May. I like Jayden Daniels a lot. I just preferred May. And there were people who wanted the Commanders to take J.J. McCarthy. Like, that was an opinion that was put forth by respectable people. In fact, the reporting has been that the Commanders' quarterback decision ultimately came down to Jayden Daniels and J.J. McCarthy, not Daniels and Drake May. In what ways exactly has McCarthy been bad? And what do you think about his long-term chance of being a franchise quarterback?
Yeah, I mean, I think every one of those quarterbacks had reason to think they could be great and reason to think that they could fail, which just kind of goes for every prospect, right? I mean, Caleb Williams still isn't that great. Not what he was said to be, even though he's playing well. And Drake May last year struggled and has taken big steps forward this season. And Penix, it was the injury concerns, and here he is injured. And, Bo Nix is winning a lot of games, but just by 3 points, kind of by the skin of his teeth. So I think the biggest concerns with McCarthy when he was coming out were that he was a one-speed thrower. Every single throw was a fastball, and he had no touch really whatsoever on the ball. And that kind of came back to, is that natural? Is it mechanical? And I think the Vikings thought that it was mechanical and it was something that they could teach and improve on. And then the other part was just common sense, which is if Michigan has J.J. McCarthy throw 7 passes in a huge game against Penn State, is that a quarterback that you really want to be talking about as a pro quarterback, as a pro franchise quarterback? Because his college team did not trust him to be the guy. And anyone who says, oh, well, they won with the running game, like, I get that. But there is no world where a team, even Jim Harbaugh, would just pass on having his quarterback, if he could, throw 40 passes a game and blow everyone out by 50 points. Like, if you could do that, if it was Joe Burrow at LSU, they had a good running back at LSU, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. They threw it every play because they had Joe Burrow, right? You would do the same thing. So that was always my concern. And if you go through history and you look at quarterbacks that throw less than 750 passes in college, I mean, you're taking your life in your hands. It's Mitch Trubisky. It's Mark Sanchez. Alex Smith eventually became good, but after like 5 years. So it was how raw he was. And when we watch McCarthy in practice, you can be wowed at times. I mean, the actual arm strength is really, really great. The mobility is excellent. The playmaking mentality, you really like that in the NFL today. But the issue is that his last game that he played, if I told you that it was his first game he ever played, you'd believe me. I mean, he's made no progress whatsoever. There is not a single area where I could say that he has gotten better over this season. In fact, it's just gotten worse and worse. And that's the thing, you never know. They draft him on upside. The reason they didn't draft Bo Nix was I think that was it. I think it was upside. It was Bo Nix is 24 years old. He's played for a really long time. He's going to have limitations. So let's draft the guy that we can develop his raw skills and turn him into a franchise quarterback. The problem is the timeline. If they had 5 years to do this, if J.J. McCarthy was given 5 years, I bet there's a good chance he would turn out to be a good quarterback. They don't have 5 years. No team has 5 years. And I think that they believed that they could quarterback whisper him in to a decent quarterback by year 2 and maybe excellent by year 3. And they missed horribly, as bad as you could possibly miss, especially when they had someone like Sam Darnold already in the building.
Usually when an NFL team is having a disappointing season, the answer to the question of why the team is having a disappointing season is, hey, there are a myriad of reasons. But it sounds like the Vikings' disappointing 2025 regular season really is just about quarterback.
I mean, if you go through game by game, just with any other team, you could point to and circle things that, okay, they could have won if not for blank. Just for example, against Chicago, they got a go-ahead drive late from J.J. McCarthy, and then they gave up a long kick return, game-winning field goal from Cairo Santos. You lose the game based on a kick return. But are we really pointing to that when J.J. McCarthy played horrendous football for 3.5 quarters? I mean, everything is impacted by the quarterback play. And even when you look at the defense early in the season, the defense was a little leaky. They had a game against Pittsburgh in Dublin where they gave up a lot of rushing yards, and Aaron Rodgers went, I think, 18 for 22 passing in that game. And we were saying, like, what's up with this defense? Justin Herbert ripped them apart on a Thursday night football game, and same sort of story. Like, what's going on with this defense? Why are guys open? Why aren't they, et cetera, et cetera? But those are normal things that happen to even good defenses. I mean, you saw it from the Denver Broncos where, they gave up drives to Marcus Mariota and they allowed points in that game. And so, like, no defense in the NFL is the 85 Bears where you're going to score 9 points a game or something against them. And they've just had to be on the field for so long. And that's why it does all come back to the quarterback, to the offensive play, because if your defense has to be on the field all game long, the other team is going to be able to run against you. They're going to be able to wear down against you, and they never have to take a risk. If you look at Sam Darnold's stat line, you'd be like, he didn't do anything against the Vikings. They did a good job against him, but what did he have to do? He never had to throw down the field. He never had to take a risk. Just don't completely mess it up, and you're going to win by 26 when the offense is playing at this level. So it really does come back to everything is about one position. We've kind of made that joke. Like, this is a one-story team in 2025, and it's about how bad the quarterback has been.
It has been funny hearing what you've said, because Washington was so lost at quarterback for so long that so many of the quarterbacks who you've mentioned during our conversation we had here. Rich Gannon was here. Alex Smith was here. Mark Sanchez was here. And the Vikings QB2, Carson Wentz, was here. Just one season, but the Commanders went into the 2022 regular season with Wentz as their QB1. And things actually started off well, but then went downhill. He, for the Vikings, in this regular season, has started 5 games. Would have been your impressions of our friend Carson Wentz?
Yeah, I mean, now he looks like he was fantastic in comparison. I think that if Carson Wentz, this is actually one of those you wish you could kind of simulate it and see what would have really happened. I think had Carson Wentz not gotten hurt really badly in the game against Cleveland, that he might have continued to play pretty well in this offense, and they may have been a 500 team. And you're talking about, when do they bring back McCarthy? And then after McCarthy comes back and struggles, do they bench him? Do they put back in Carson Wentz? I think that he was a totally fine, completely reasonable backup quarterback. That I remember this, it sticks in my head. The great John Clayton said about backup quarterbacks, if you have a guy that can go 500, then it's worth its weight in gold, right? If your starter gets hurt and you can go 2-2, which Carson Wentz did before it all fell apart, and O'Connell left him in the game after he was very injured against Los Angeles, and everybody saw that. But just in the games where he was healthy, went 2-2. I mean, that's exactly what you would expect from a backup quarterback. I think if a team signs him next year, it's fine. Like, he was prepared and he threw to the right places. He was tremendously inaccurate. And anytime he was under pressure, he completely panicked. He held onto the ball way too long. He thought he was 20 years old with the way that he would try to scramble and make plays. Whatever happened to Joe Flacco, where he was like, I don't want anyone to hit me anymore, I'm old. That didn't happen to Carson Wentz. And so he ran himself right into injury. And anybody who has him, I think, would be totally fine as QB2, but not at all okay with him starting more than about 4 games in a season. And that's what they ended up with.
Another notable former Washington player on the Vikings is interior defensive lineman Jonathan Allen. The Commanders this past March 7th announced having released Allen. The Vikings just a few days later, March 11th, announced having agreed with Allen on a contract. And they gave him good money, a reported 3-year, $51 million contract with $23.255 million fully guaranteed at signing. He has started all 12 of the Vikings games in this regular season. What kind of a season is Allen having?
Yeah, so the thing about Jonathan Allen is not really fair to him, our analysis, because a lot of it comes back to the Sam Darnold decision. It was $41 million to franchise tag Darnold, and I think that they paid Allen $21 million a year. So he's the guy that we go to immediately to say, oh, it was worth it, huh? The defensive tackle that you needed so badly and maybe missed the forest through the trees, that your quarterback is the most important position. I think I would describe his season as being fine. He has not been a huge needle mover, but he has not been bad. Has it been $21 million worth? No, especially when, Milton Williams was 26, and then the Vikings were in on that. But if the quarterback play was any good at all, and this defense was as good as they are, they'd be winning games, and we'd be talking about Jonathan Allen as a good story, especially if they were ahead in games. And this is how those pressure statistics and all those things, they're all impacted by circumstance. If you're winning all the time, then Jonathan Allen can just be him and just go after quarterbacks. But what Jonathan Allen's had to do, I'm frustrated for him, is what he's had to do is be a run stuffer. for 70% of his plays this year because the Seahawks are, I mean, the Vikings, when it got to 10-0, it was over. It was so over that Seattle just started throwing screens and running the ball. Like they knew it. They were like, oh, there's no chance this team could score 10 points. So if you're Jonathan Allen, you're like, I came here to rush the passer, to get quarterback pressures, to be a difference maker on 3rd and long. But if the other team's on 3rd and long and they're up by 14 points, they don't care. They're not dropping back and letting Brian Flores do what he wants. So, I think that he probably is wrongfully mentioned over and over as one of the reasons that they got rid of Sam Darnold, that they justified with, we're going to stack the roster with free agents. But in a different world where J.J. McCarthy played well, I think we'd be talking about him as a key addition.
Excellent insight. Vikings insider Matthew Coller of Purple Insider on Substack, the host of a big-time Vikings podcast, Purple Insider with Matthew Coller. Matthew, thanks. All the best.
Thanks for having me.
All right, Nova Fireplace and Stove. It is Northern Virginia's go-to expert for fireplaces. Transform the look and feel of your home and increase its value by visiting Nova Fireplace and Stove in Woodbridge, Virginia, or by visiting novafireplaceandstove.com. And make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you for $25 off any service. Come in and see Nova Fireplace and Stove's stunning displays, including custom fireplace glass doors and stone refacing options that can completely transform the look of your fireplace. From sleek and modern to rustic and cozy, Nova Fireplace and Stove has something for every style. And here's what else Nova Fireplace and Stove offers: gas fireplace service and repair, chimney cleaning and brickwork repair, generator installation, panel replacements, and water heater repairs, smoke detectors, security lights, and more. Nova Fireplace and Stove is a family-owned, fully licensed and insured company with over-the-top credentials, gas and electrical master's licenses, a Class A contractor's license, and a long list of 5-star reviews to back all of this up. Every job includes a free in-home estimate, and for listeners of the Al Galdi podcast, Nova Fireplace and Stove is offering $25 off any service. Just mention this ad. Nova Fireplace and Stove only works in Northern Virginia and thus knows the homes, the codes, and the people. Your satisfaction is 100% guaranteed. That's Nova Fireplace and Stove in Woodbridge, Virginia, or novafireplaceandstove.com. And make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you for $25 off any service. Nova Fireplace and Stove, where comfort meets craftsmanship, and your fireplace becomes the heart of your home. Well, the Washington Capitals now are tied for the most points in the Eastern Conference. A 3-1 win at the Los Angeles Kings late night on Tuesday night. The Caps won their 5th consecutive game, and for the 8th time in 9 games, the Caps in the NHL's 2025-2026 regular season now are 16-9-2. Good for 34 points, tied with the Carolina Hurricanes and Tampa Bay Lightning for the most points in the Eastern Conference. Here we are once again with the Caps having a good season. And as I am recording this at, let's see, what time is it? 2 a.m. Eastern, exactly, on Wednesday morning. Thank goodness for the Caps, given what we have with the most recent seasons for the other major teams of Washington, D.C. sports, right? The Washington Commanders, the Washington Nationals, the Washington Wizards, all of those teams have their problems, but here we have the Caps again having a good season. And keep in mind that the Caps are doing what they're doing without 2 key centers, as both Pierre-Luc Dubois and Nick Dowd are on injured reserve. The Caps and Kings, each team in this game had 25 shots on goal. The Caps, per natural stat trick, had just 32 5-on-5 shot attempts to the Kings' 53, but also 9 5-on-5 high-danger shot attempts to the Kings' 8. The Caps starting goaltender was Logan Thompson. He stopped 24 of the 25 shots on goal that he faced as he continues his great season. Thompson, for this regular season now, has a goals against average of 2.02. Outstanding. Thompson in this game outdueled Kings goaltender and former Caps goaltender Darcy Kemper. He stopped 22 of the 24 shots on goal that he faced. A good game for the Caps on special teams. 2 for 2 on the penalty kill, 1 for 2 on the power play. As Caps second line right wing Tom Wilson scored again. He scored a power play goal 14:50 into the first period for his 16th goal in this regular season. Wilson for this regular season is tied for number 6 6 in the NHL in goals and is number 1 on the Caps in goals. And number 2 on the Caps in goals is the great 8, Alex Ovechkin at 12. He late night on Tuesday night served as the Caps top line left wing. Did not score a goal, but he did have 2 secondary assists. He had just 3 total shot attempts, including 2 shots on goal. Caps top line right wing Anthony Beauvillier scored an even strength goal, 118 into the third period for his 6th goal in this regular season. And Caps second line left wing Alexi Protas scored an even strength empty net goal, 18-18 into the third period for his 8th goal in this regular season. Protas had a team high 5 shots on goal, but also a game high 3 giveaways. But Protas was number 1 on the Caps in 5-on-5 shot attempt percentage for the game per natural stat trick at 59.26. The Caps with Protas on the ice in 5-on-5 situations in the game had 16 shot attempts versus allowing 11 shot attempts. And Tom Wilson, by the way, was number 2 at 55, 11 shot attempts versus 9 shot attempts allowed. The Caps' healthy scratches for this game were defenseman Declan Chisholm and Dylan McElrath and forward Bogdan Trineyev. Next up for the Caps at the San Jose Sharks, Wednesday night at 10. Our rebuilding and tanking Washington Wizards on Tuesday night played the second game of a back-to-back. This was a road game. This was a game in which our Wizards, again, were without 3 key players. All of that is a formula for a blowout loss, and guess what? That is exactly what we got. The Wizards in the NBA's 2025-2026 regular season fell to 3-17 with a 121-102 loss at the Philadelphia 76ers on Tuesday night. The Wizards trailed for all of the second, third, and fourth quarters. It did remain without 3 key guys. Alex Sarr did not play for a second consecutive game due to right adductor soreness. Trey Johnson did not play for a 5th consecutive game due to a left hip flexor strain. And Corey Kispert did not play for a 3rd consecutive game due to a right thumb injury. The Wizards allowed the 76ers to go 17 for 40 on threes, did hold the Sixers to just 29 for 62 on twos, but the Wizards' offense was bad. They went just 9 for 36 on threes, just 26 for 52 on twos, and just 23 for 32 on free throws, and committed 15 turnovers to the 76ers' 11 in getting outscored in terms of points off turnovers, 28-9. Another rough game for Bub Carrington. He in 24 minutes, 42 seconds off the bench, went just 3 for 12 from the field, just 2 for 7 on threes, and just 1 for 5 on twos, and he had 3 assists versus 4 turnovers. 7 Wizards players each scored at least 10 points, but the team's leading scorer was Tristan Vukcevic at just 16 points. He in 21-42 off the bench, went 6 for 9 from the field all twos, did go just 4 for 7 on free throws. He also had 4 rebounds, 4 assists versus 3 turnovers, and a game worst plus-minus rating of minus 28. Was good to see Will Riley crack Wizards head coach Brian Keefe's rotation. Riley in 26-12 off the bench had 13 points and 4 rebounds. He went 2 for 2 on threes, 3 for 4 on twos, and 1 for 2 on free throws. And a nice game for Marvin Bagley III. He was the only Wizard starter with a positive plus-minus rating for the game. He in 26-18 as a starter went 1 for 2 on threes, 2 for 4 on twos, and 6 for 6 on free throws, and finished with 13 points, 8 rebounds, including 4 offensive boards, 5 blocks, and a plus-minus rating of +9. Bagley also was good in the Wizards' 129-126 win over the Milwaukee Bucks at Capital One Arena on Monday night. Next up for the Wizards, home to the Boston Celtics, Thursday night at 7. And let's talk college basketball. It was just a few weeks ago, November 15th, that Maryland's Pharrell Payne, a 6'9" Texas A&M transfer, in an 89-82 win at Marquette, took a nasty fall off hanging on the rim on a dunk in the second half. He essentially landed on his knees with each lower leg bent outwardly. but he somehow missed just one game, and he continues to be the Terrapins' best player. Tuesday night, an 89-63 win over Wagner at Xfinity Center in College Park, Maryland, as the Terps in the 2025-2026 regular season improved to 6-3 overall. The Terps late in the first half did trail 22-20, but they won the rest of the game 69-41, and Pharrell Payne was dominant. 29 minutes as a starter, 30 points, 10 rebounds, including 5 offensive boards, and 3 blocks. He went 8 for 11 from the field, all twos, and 14 for 20 on free throws. Now, Maryland did not shoot well. Just 5 for 20 on threes, just 21 for 44 on twos, just 32 for 45 on free throws. But yes, 45 free throw attempts, and Maryland held Wagner to just 6 for 23 on threes and just 15 for 34 on twos. And also in this game was 6'7" Texas A&M transfer Solomon Washington making his debut for this regular season off having been out due to an ankle injury. It was good to see him. Washington in 24 minutes as a starter, 3 for 6 from the field, all twos, 4 for 6 on free throws. He finished with 10 points and 6 rebounds, including 3 offensive boards. Next up for Maryland, at Iowa, Saturday afternoon at 4 in the Terps' Big Ten opener for this regular season. Virginia Tech, it in this regular season improved to 7-2 overall with an 86-83 overtime win at South Carolina on Tuesday night in the ACC-SEC Challenge. A good bounce-back win by the Hokies off them going 1-2 in the 2025 Battle for Atlantis in the Bahamas. Tech won despite again being without 6'8" Toby Lawal due to a foot injury. Tech won despite blowing a 10-point first-half lead. Tech went just 6 for 20 on threes and just 14 for 21 on free throws, but also 27 for 46 on twos and outscoring South Carolina in the paint 54-30. Held South Carolina to just 8 for 30 on threes, did allow South Carolina to go 19 for 30 on twos. Tech's leading scorer was 6'8" West Virginia transfer Amani Hansberry. He had 38 minutes, 38 seconds as a starter, had 22 points, 14 rebounds, 3 assists versus no turnovers and 2 blocks. He went 10 for 15 on twos, did go 0 for 1 on threes, and just 2 for 8 on free throws. Also, 6'9" true freshman Neoklis Avdilis of Greece flirted with a triple-double. He in 35-05 as a starter had 13 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists versus 1 turnover. He went just 1 for 4 on threes, 4 for 7 on twos, and 2 for 2 on free throws. He did foul out. Next up for Virginia Tech, home to George Mason Saturday afternoon at 3. And speaking of Mason, it in this regular season now is 9-0, a 99-81 win over Cornell at Eagle Bank Arena in Fairfax, Virginia on Tuesday night. Best start to a season in program history. And that'll do it for you and me for now. Keep the feedback coming. You can hit me up on X at Al Galdi. You can email me the Al Galdi podcast at yahoo.com. Thursday's show, episode 1211, will provide you with more on the Washington Commanders as they on Wednesday are beginning their practice week for their game at the Minnesota Vikings this Sunday afternoon at 1. Also on Thursday's show, I'll talk Washington Capitals, Georgetown basketball, and Virginia basketball. The Caps are at the San Jose Sharks Wednesday night at 10. The Hoyas are home to UMBC Wednesday night at 8. And the Cavaliers are at Texas Wednesday night at 9:15 in the ACC-SEC Challenge. Have a great rest of your Wednesday, and I'll talk to you on Thursday.
So you're telling me there's a chance? Yeah!